Friends, today we are going to learn a very beautiful poem, Ode on Solitude. This poem is composed by Alexander Pope. Alexander Pope was an English poet, translator, and satirist who is considered as one of the most prominent English poets of the early 80th century of the Augustan period. His important poetical works are Essay on Criticism, The Rape of the Lock, The Dunciad, and Essay on Man. So these are the important works of Alexander Pope. Alexander Pope has written his poem Ode on Solitude at the age of 12. At the time, his family had just shifted to a small estate by a forest in a small village, which is far from the main British towns. At the 12th age, in a very tender age, Pope found his ideals in solitude, being inspired by his new natural landscape, particularly the Windsor forest. Ode on Solitude. This is poem is divided into five stanza. First, I will read out the poem. Then we will discuss about the forms, the characteristics of the poem, the structure of the poem, the important themes discussed by Alexander Pope in the poem. First, I will read out the poem. The poem goes like this: Happy the man whose wish and care, a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground, whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in winter fire. Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away, in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day, sound sleep by night, steady and ease, together mixed, sweet recreation and innocence, which most does please with meditation. Thus let me live, unseen, unknown, thus unlamented, let me die, still from the world, and not a stone. Tell where I lie. So this is a very beautiful poem which describes about the loneliness, the happiness, how one can be happy in the life. The secret of happy life as pointed out by Alexander Pope, and it is very interesting that at the age of 12 years that Alexander Pope very sensitively composed this poem and come up with an secret of living a happy life. Ode on Solitude is about living a simple and lonely life. In the first line of the poem, the speaker begins by suggesting that a man can be happy if he has few acres of land to care for. For example, the first stanza discusses about, or the lines goes like this: Happy the man whose wish and care, a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. So, on one's native land, in his own ground, one can tame and mend their herds and take pleasure, happiness, and delight from the simple turn of the seasons. In the second stanza, he also points out how the cycle of nature is there, the simple seasons they are changing, and they have provided us the complete life in the season, in the structure of the season. For example, there is a fire in winter to protect from the cold and shade in summer to protect from the heat. As the poem progresses, the speaker of the poem praises the importance of solitude and loneliness. He wished to die alone and unlamented and buried somewhere no one could never find him than be celebrated and attended. So it is his wish that he must have to live a lonely life without any type of publicity, without any type of lamentation. He has to come and go in a very simple way. The structure and form of the poem. So this is a five stanza poem and it is divided into sets of five lines. So the five stanzas: Happy the man, this is the first stanza, whose hurts with milk. Second, blessed who can unconcernedly. Third, sound sleep by night. Fourth, and trust me, leave. So these are the five stanza poem, and having the five lines in each stanza, near about 25 lines we have. The rhyme scheme used by Alexander Pope, that is AB AB, and the changing sounds in the end from stanza to stanza. Pope structured the first three lines of each stanza with eight syllables and the fourth stanza with four syllables. So this is the form and structure of the poem. In the next slide, we will discuss about the themes in the poem. The important themes that discussed by Alexander Pope in the poem are desire, nature, death, solitude, hard work, happiness, and spirituality. So these are the important things that described by the Alexander Pope. So this is a very beautiful poem by Alexander Pope, where he describes about the nature, he describes about the desires, he describes about the secret life of happiness, he describes about the one is going to be happy who just watches that hours, days, and years slide soft away, and in those period of life he has healthy life and peace of mind. So for that purpose, you have to be in the lap of nature. And the same thing happened with the Alexander Pope at the age of 12, that he has his family moved from British towns towards the nature of lab, that is Windsor jungles. There they have found the solace. There they have found the happiness in the lap of the nature. So that's why he has composed this poem. Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. This is the first stanza, and also the last stanza mentions the death, the theme of death, the theme of solace. This thus let me live unseen, unknown, thus unlamented, let me die, still from the world and not a stone, tell where I lie, tell where I lie. So this is the poem that is Ode on Solitude.